It's crazy that he never talked to you about racing.
No. We were at a track in Bristol, Tennessee. It's a half-mile high-banked racetrack, and we run 15-second laps around there. It's really fast. It's kind of technical and tough to get around. I'm out there practicing. I wasn't doing it right. He got up on one of the haulers and got on the radio. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you how to drive it. So I'm out there driving. Lift right here. And I'd lift, and he'd get in the gas. Okay. And that was the only time he ever did that.
Just think of how much it would have improved you.
I know. When he told me how to do it, I'm like, holy shit. This is I would have never thought of doing it this way, and this is way better.
That has to be so crazy because that's your profession.
Yeah.
And your dad is a superhero.
The funny thing about being his son was, like, I knew him as this dad, and then I also knew him as this almost fictional character, the superhero that I had taped in my school locker. I had a series of photographs of Dad's flip at Pocono in 1982, driving Bud Moore's car. I would open my locker and see that, and I'd go, my dad's a badass, and I'm his son. But him and I didn't connect mentally. He was this tough, ornery, hardworking, dirt under his fingernails, could do anything guy, and I was tiny, short, and shy, and quiet. Like, I wasn't making any sense to him.
Dale Earnhardt hated this. Even if you're not a NASCAR fan, you've heard of Dale Earnhardt, the Man in Black, the Intimidator, all of the nicknames. Usually on the track, Earnhardt was able to get under the skin of other drivers. But once his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr. started racing, a troubling trend for the Man in Black began. People started calling him Dale Sr., and he was not having any of it.
We have Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jr.
Even after moments like this, people still would refer to him as Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Dale Earnhardt, one tough customer, gives the thumbs up. It all comes down to this, to decide the national champion.
They still talk about the feeling. Rusty Wallace once said, he did not scare you with words, he scared you with what he could do in the final 10 laps. Drivers who ran the 1980s and 1990s knew exactly what that meant. Dale Earnhardt did not need to posture. The moment the black number 3 appeared in your mirror, every decision became heavier. Every line felt tighter. Every mistake felt fatal.
The younger kind of new way was this wraparound cocoon seat, headrest, 7-point, 6-point harnesses, really covering, taking care of your head and how it moves. And Dale was just, I'd see him sometimes, he'd have his arm and this one
Come
hand.
on.
I swear, I'm not joking. I'll never forget.
In a race,
I'm driving down, I'm like this, right? And I look over and he's like, no joke.
When Dale Earnhardt was on the racetrack and you were behind him, he was telling you where to go. He would drive with that one hand up there directing you all the time.
My first race car, Dale Earnhardt sponsored. So Dale come to me right before the race. He said, here's the deal. If I find you wrecked on this racetrack, I'm going to stop my car and kick your you-know-what.
I would be in those pits during that race, and I would say, all right, Dale, we're going to pit in 3 laps. I'm going to do 2 tires. Nope. I'm coming in, and I'm not leaving till you give me 4.
I'm driving. He's sitting behind me. I turn right. What'd you turn right for? Turn around, go back the other way. Make a U-turn right here. Turn around right here, right here, right here. Turn right behind that red car. Watch that black car. I said, what is this guy's problem? I just pulled over and said, you drive.
We went on a trip and we're walking down the beach and I says, Earnhardt, even when you're walking, you still want to be walking faster than me. So we're going down the beach, the 2 of us, almost in a trot.
He built his reputation in an era when toughness was not a style but a requirement. Races at Talladega and Daytona were survival tests, and Earnhardt was the one man who could turn chaos into control. He read the air. He controlled the draft. He understood pressure better than anyone on the track. So when NASCAR drivers were asked about Dale Earnhardt, what they revealed was not myth. It was fear, respect, and the truth only racers understood.
Was it hard at all to climb back in the car after this kind of untouchable icon has died because of a wreck?
It was very odd going to the track without Dale, just his team, the fans, I mean, the feeling, and I mean, he impacted so many different lives within the garage area. When you're a race car driver and you've been racing as long as I have, you see death, and you have to deal with it. You have to get back in and go to the next race and block that out of your mind.
When you go back to the beginning with Dale and you look at all the things that you guys were able to accomplish, and you go to the end of Dale's career, what was the end? Like, was he going to drive 2 more years, 3 more years, or was it kind of a moving target with him?
I ain't going to answer that right now, but we talked more about it in 2000.
Yeah.
And I knew our plans, and I'm sure Teresa knew our plans was nobody was going to know what he was going to do, but me, Judy, Teresa, and him. I know what he had in mind, and it was a little after 2000.
Yeah.
It just didn't end like we wanted it. 98, we won the Daytona 500. And about halfway through the year there, we wasn't running good. I changed crew chiefs and got the car a little better. But he said, man, it's me. I said, it ain't Dale. We're not giving you cars you can drive. We've got to fix the cars. And I wish now they said, it was you, go retire. But it's too late.
Dale Earnhardt's career was not built on hype. It was built on results that shaped an entire era. He entered the Cup Series in 1979 and won Rookie of the Year. By 1980, he had already taken his first championship. When the 1990s arrived, he was the most feared and respected driver in the field. 7 Cup Series titles tied him with Richard Petty and placed him in a category that no one else touched for decades. He won 76 Cup races. He mastered the superspeedways where timing and nerve decide everything. At Talladega, he controlled the pack with a confidence that made veterans uneasy. At Daytona, his talent was so clear that the 1998 victory felt less like a breakthrough and more like the sport finally paying a long overdue debt. But numbers alone cannot explain him. Earnhardt had racecraft that drivers could feel but could not imitate. He sensed airflow changes before spotters could speak. He made late race decisions with the calm of someone who had already seen the outcome. He pushed the limit without crossing into recklessness. Signature moments defined his legend. The pass in the grass in 1987 was not a win, but it was a declaration of how far he was willing to go to keep control of a race. Each milestone carried the same message. Dale Earnhardt understood NASCAR at a deeper level. And the people who understood this best were the drivers who tried to beat him.
Not only himself, but a lot of other people.
In Bristol one time, he was behind me and his car was tore up a little bit, been in a wreck. And I looked up in the mirror and I went, I ain't gonna have no part of this. I'm gonna be in the way, and then I'll be victim if I don't get out of the way.
There was nothing that you did not expect. Sometimes it meant just putting a move on you that you just shook your head at and you go, oh man, I just got taken to school. Or, bang!
We're running to Winston over at Charlotte. He slams me into the wall, broke my ribs and broke my shoulder and about knocked me out. He said, I thought you would have backed off and given me room because you were on the outside. And don't ever get on the outside of me again.
From his first victory at Bristol, Tennessee in 1979 to his last at Talladega, Alabama in 2000, Dale Earnhardt collected 76 checkered flags, 6th all-time, and 7 Winston Cup titles. No driver ever competed with a greater passion for risk.
Drivers who ran against Dale Earnhardt did not sugarcoat what it felt like. Rusty Wallace said that if Earnhardt reached your bumper, the race changed instantly. You were no longer defending your line. You were defending your confidence. Darrell Waltrip described it simply. If he got to you, you were not in control anymore. Those words were not exaggeration. They were hard lessons learned in traffic at 190 miles per hour. Mark Martin, one of the most respected drivers of his generation, often explained that Earnhardt was not just aggressive, he was smart. Martin said he always knew where to place his car even when the field was 3 wide and unstable. Jeff Gordon echoed that point. Gordon said Earnhardt forced you to learn every lap because he never ran the same move twice. The challenge was constant. The pressure never faded.
He goes,
and you,
we go down, I'm on the inside, I think somebody's on the outside, and we go down and turn into the corner, and all of a sudden there's a car on my hood.
Yeah.
Because what happened when the race started, he just turned left, went up across the grass, and jumped the curb, and jumped right in the middle of that whole crowd. That was my introduction to Dale Earnhardt.
We won last year. Now we've got something that is even to another level. We're a team that is going to go compete for the championship. and we're going to have to go through Earnhardt to do it. And immediately he started kind of playing the games that he plays, not just on the track, but within the media. And it immediately built this rivalry among our fans.
Dale knew how to play the game, and he made this a bigger deal than it really was because he was trying to sell t-shirts.
It's true. What he brought was not just the ability to drive a race car that was unbelievable, but he had like a marketing mind that he was constantly figuring out, how can we push the envelope, make the sport bigger, grow the sport? How can I, do something on the track that's going to garner more fans?
Why did so many drivers hate racing him yet praise him at the same time? Because Earnhardt removed comfort from the sport. He never backed out early. He never gifted position. He never lost belief that he could win, even with a damaged car. Many drivers said he could sense weakness. If you hesitated, he took the space. If you looked in the mirror too long, he controlled the next corner. His reputation was built on these small moments that shifted entire races. Talladega and Daytona revealed his advantage most clearly. While others fought the draft, Earnhardt used it as a weapon. He understood pack behavior as if it were a system he had written himself. Drivers said he could predict moves seconds before they happened. When he pulled the field forward from 18th to 1st in 20 laps at Talladega, veterans called it the most complete demonstration of superspeedway control they had ever seen. Dale Earnhardt did not intimidate drivers with talk. He intimidated them with inevitability. When he committed to a move, the field reacted. When he entered the closing laps, the tone of the race changed. Every competitor felt it. And that is why racing him was a test few ever passed.
Elliott now getting a challenge from Tim Richmond, but he closes again right in behind Earnhardt, coming down off turn 4. And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible. Decent driving by Earnhardt. 7 laps to go. Earnhardt went on the grass down the home straight.
Inside Richard Childress Racing, Dale Earnhardt was not the loudest voice. He was the most focused. Crew members said he walked into the shop with the same expression every day. Calm, serious, ready to work. He checked the car himself. He ran his hand along body panels. He asked about changes in suspension field, tire pressure windows, and how the engine pulled off the corner. He did not waste words. He wanted information he could use on race day. Crew chiefs explained that Earnhardt had an unusual ability to sense balance shifts early. He could feel a 1 pound change in tire pressure. He could tell when the right rear started to fade without looking at data. Before NASCAR relied heavily on digital telemetry, Earnhardt relied on instinct sharpened by thousands of laps. That gave his team a head start every time he radioed in feedback. Teammates also described his routine. Before races, he rarely joked around. He sat in the car helmet on his lap, sunglasses still on, listening but not speaking. Drivers who walked past him said it felt like he had already entered the race mentally. He did not raise his voice. He did not try to impose fear inside the garage. The intensity came from his quiet preparation. Everyone watched it. Everyone understood it. Even in testing sessions, the competitive edge was visible. Earnhardt pushed the car until he knew exactly what its limit was. Then he pushed it past that limit to understand how it would behave when it mattered. Mechanics said he treated every lap as if it counted for points. That attitude influenced the entire organization. Rivals saw aggression on the track. Teammates saw precision and discipline that made the aggression possible. They saw a driver who studied airflow, corner entry timing, and draft angles as carefully as any engineer. They saw someone who demanded the best from himself before demanding it from others. To them, Dale Earnhardt was not just the intimidator. He was the standard for how a professional prepared to win.
How much did you learn about racing from your dad?
Hardly nothing, man. I would get asked all the time, what your dad taught you about X, Y, and Z, and we never talked about racing.
Really?
Never.
Even when you started racing professionally?
Yeah.
Wow.
We never did. He was always so worried that me and Kelly wouldn't finish school. He gave up on school as an 8th grader at 16 years old. He was 16 in the 8th grade and quit and never finished high school, never got no GED, nothing. Even while he was alive and ever since. Look what this guy made of himself, having quit the 8th grade. That's awesome. And he always hated that. That was embarrassing. He was embarrassed that he quit. He knew how bad it disappointed his own father. flipped my pickup truck one time on Christmas Day, and I wasn't holding on the steering wheel, and my arm went out the window. For like a split second, it banged around in the window sill and went like 7 flips. Of course, there's this line of cars behind me stopped on the road, and this one lady pulls up, and I was like, I need to borrow your cell phone to call my dad. She's like, you're in shock, you need to sit down. And I was like, no, I'm not in shock, I just need to borrow your cell phone. And I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, man, I flipped my truck. He comes to get me. He pulls out there with the flatbed truck. As soon as he pulls up, the state trooper pulls up, and the state trooper guy and Dad talked for a minute. I ain't gonna investigate or anything, everything's cool, y'all just go about your business. So he left, and so me and Dad put the truck on the flatbed, and we're driving back, and he started laughing. I said, man, what's so funny? And he goes, I was 18 when this happened. He goes, when I was 18 years old, I flipped my car. I can't get mad. He's like, it's just, I'm just glad you're not hurt. I'm like, that's nice.
Among NASCAR legends, Dale Earnhardt is not remembered only for trophies. He is remembered for the standard he set. Richard Petty once said that Earnhardt represented the last link between the sport's rough early years and the modern era. Petty believed Earnhardt carried the toughness and instinct of drivers who learned racing on dirt tracks, yet combined it with the precision needed for the growing Cup Series. Jimmy Johnson explained that racing around Earnhardt forced him to understand pressure in a different way. Johnson said that Earnhardt could turn the final 10 laps into a mental challenge as much as a physical one. Tony Stewart described him as the example of fearlessness. Stewart said that Earnhardt never hid from risk. He studied it, measured it, and used it when the moment demanded. Jeff Gordon, who battled Earnhardt through the 1990s, often emphasized that his own growth came directly from those confrontations. Gordon said that Earnhardt pushed him harder than anyone because he exposed weaknesses instantly. If you missed a mark in the corner, he used it. If you left the line open, he took it. That process shaped an entire generation of drivers.
The drivers had with NASCAR earlier this afternoon?
Well, it's sort of a chat session on what we all thought and how we felt like, about the racetrack, the drafting. It all comes back down. Talladega's been here a long time. We all raced, a lot of us raced here a long time, and we've had these situations, and it's all up to the drivers to not make mistakes. It's all up to the drivers not to get into guys and overdrive the cars, and that's where it's at. And they're trying to adjust it with restrictor plates and spoilers, and they blame, saying it's the cars, and it's really the drivers. So I don't know. I'm not really happy with them changing the restrictor plate difference. It's really messed up our combination and the engines, and I'm hearing a couple other guys worried about engines, so I'm not sure it's the right thing to do. We'll see.
Can you feel the difference, Dale, from what you were doing this morning with the bigger plate?
Yeah, it takes a different gear combination, and we're going to work with it and see what we can come up with. So I'm not sure it's the smart thing to do.
Earnhardt's legacy also extends beyond intimidation. Many drivers point to his understanding of airflow and pack racing as a breakthrough that changed superspeedway strategy. Before wide use of simulation tools, Earnhardt read drafts by feel. His Talladega performances became case studies in how one driver could influence the movement of 30 cars without radio commands or complex data. The legends believe his true impact is measured in how drivers prepare today, the expectation of toughness, the mental discipline in chaotic environments, the belief that a race is never over until the final corner. These ideas became part of NASCAR's identity because Earnhardt proved they were necessary to win. When they talk about greatness, they mention champions. When they talk about the standard, they mention him. When you put all the voices together, a clear picture forms. Rivals feared Dale Earnhardt because he removed comfort from racing. He forced them into mistakes. He took control of moments that mattered. Teammates respected him because his preparation was steady, quiet, and exact. He did not need attention. He needed results. And legends still speak of him because his approach reshaped the expectations for every driver who came after. Dale Earnhardt did not chase spotlight. The spotlight followed him because his performance demanded it. His influence remains in the draft, in the final laps, and the mentality that champions still study. When NASCAR drivers were asked about Dale Earnhardt, they did not describe a legend, they described the standard.